Hare Hare, Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama,
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya.
Namaskritya Dharam Chaiva Dharamtamam Devim Sadasi So, Krishna, welcome to our daily Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam class. So today we are reading from Canto 4, text 31. Chapter 31, text number 19. Narada discusses chants. Dayaya sarva bhutesu
Dayaya sarvabhuteshu
santushtyayena kenava
santushtyayena kenava
sarvendriyopasaniyacha
sarvendriyopasanchaya
tusyatya sujanardana
tushyatiyatu janardana
Daya sarva bhutesu
Dayaya sarvabhuteshu
santusyayena kenava
santushtyayena kenava
indriyapasanriyacha
sarvendriyopasanchayata
tusyatya sujanardana
tushyatiyatu janardana
Daya
Dayaya
sarva
sarvabhuteshu santushtyayena kenava सर्वेन्द्रियोपशान्त्या च तुष्यति आसु जनार्दनः
दयया सर्वभूतेषु
दयया सर्वभूतेषु
येन केन वा
सन्तुष्ट्या येन केन वा
सर्वेन्द्रियो पश्यन्त्य च
सर्वेन्द्रियोपशान्त्या च
तुष्यन्ति यसु जनार्दन
तुष्यति आसु जनार्दनः
Anyone in Zoom would like to read?
दयया सर्वभूतेषु
दयाया सर्वभूतेषु
सन्तुष्टया येन केन वा
सन्तुष्ट्या येन वा
सर्वेन्द्रियोपशान्तया च
सर्वेन्द्रियोपशान्त्या च
तुष्यत्याशु जनार्दनः
तुष्यति आसु जनार्दनः दयाया सर्वभूतेषु सन्तुष्ट्या येन केन वा सर्वेन्द्रियोपशान्त्या च तुष्यति आसु जनार्दनः
दयया सर्वभूतेषु
दयाया सर्वभूतेषु
सन्तुष्ट्या येन केन वा
सन्तुष्ट्या येन केन वा
सर्वेन्द्रियोपशान्तया च
सर्वेन्द्रियोपशान्त्या च
तुष्यति आसु जनार्दनः
तुष्यति आसु जनार्दनः
Thank you.
Word for word translation. Dayaya. By showing mercy.
By showing mercy,
Sarvabhutesu.
Sarvabhutesu,
All living entities.
to all living entities, Santustya,
Being satisfied.
being satisfied,
Yena, Hinava.
Yena Kenava,
Somehow or other.
Somehow or the other,
But Indriya.
Sarva-indriya,
All the senses.
all the senses,
Pasantya.
Upasantya,
Controlling.
by controlling, also
also
Tushyati
Becomes satisfied.
becomes satisfied.
Asu,
Very soon.
very soon,
Janardana,
Lord of all living entities.
the Lord of
Lord of all living
entities.
entities.
Translation. By can we repeat after me? By showing mercy to all living entities.
Showing mercy to all living
Being
entities,
satisfied somehow or other.
being satisfied somehow or other,
And controlling the senses from sense enjoyment.
And restricting the senses from sense enjoyment,
One can very quickly
one can very quickly
satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead.
the Supreme Personality of
Godhead.
Janardana.
These are some of the ways in which the Supreme Personality of Godhead can be satisfied by the devotee. The first item mentioned is Dayaya Sarvabhutesu, showing mercy to all conditioned souls. The best way to show mercy is to spread Krishna consciousness. The entire world is suffering for want of this knowledge. People should know that the Supreme Personality of Godhead is the original cause of everything. Doing this, everyone should directly engage in its devotional service. Those who are actually learned, advanced spiritual understanding, should preach Krishna consciousness all over the world, so that people will take to and make their lives successful. The word Sarvabhautisu is significant because it applies not only to human beings, but to all the living entities appearing in the 8,400,000 species of life. The devotee can do good not only to humanity, but to all living entities as well. Everyone can benefit spiritually by the chanting of the Hare Krishna mantra. When the transcendental vibrations of Hare Krishna is sounded, even the trees, animals, and insects benefit. Thus, when one chants the Hare Krishna mantra loudly, he actually shows mercy to all living entities. To spread the Krishna consciousness movement throughout the world, the devotees should be satisfied in all conditions. Marayana para sarve nakulak charan vibhyate swarga pavarga narakesu apitulya itha darsinaha. Bhagavatam 6:17. It does not matter to the pure devotee if he has to go to hell, to which the Supreme Lord lives in the heart of a Bhagavatam. Although the Lord is in Vaikuntha, even while preaching in hell, a pure devotee remains a pure devotee by his association with Supreme Personality of God. To attain this state, one has to control his senses. The senses are automatically controlled when one's mind is engaged in the service of the Lord. Shri Krishna Chaitanya Brinda. Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare Rama, Hare Rama, Rama Rama, Hare. So again, Hare Krishna, welcome everyone. I hope I will not crack this thing. Okay. So this verse is spoken by Narada Muni. So spoken to the Prachetas. The Prachetas are 10 brothers. They are at this stage they are practicing austerities for thousands of years. So the Prachetas are very fortunate because prior to their practice of the Vaisya, they met Lord Shiva, and Lord Shiva instructed them, then they met they actually saw Lord Vishnu himself came, right? And at this stage, now they are, I think, almost at the end of their practice with the Vaisya. Narada Muni is now talking to them. So, in the practice of spiritual life, one success actually is guaranteed. You know, if one gets association with a pure devotee of advanced devotees. We always hear people saying that you know, if a person is successful, sometimes some people describe him to be self-made. So there's no such thing actually as self-made, because somehow or other, you know, someone or he or she must take some kind of instruction or gain knowledge, you know, from someone else. So especially in spiritual life, you know, success is really dependent on the mercy of the spiritual master. Every morning we recite a prayer, you know, prayers, glorification of our Guru. Ayasya Prasada, Bhagavad Prasada, Ayasya Prasada, Bhagavad Topi, Yansabam, Yansasan, and the Gaura. So this prayer tells us that only by the mercy of the Guru that one can attain perfection in spiritual life. We can see so many stories, in the scriptures that because of association of advanced devotees, personalities, even though they are so fallen, they become advanced, so advanced, become pure devotees actually. In the story of Margarita, you know that he was very sinful, his livelihood was to kill animals. And he enjoyed shooting his animals and live them, he would leave them half dead. His satisfaction was to see them suffer before the animals died. But because of his association of Narayana, he actually became a devotee. But then wouldn't even heart even insect in her hands. So this verse, especially in the purport of Srila Prabhupada, he was talking about mainly the purpose of ISKCON. It's a preaching movement. So the verse, that's first in one sentence. By showing mercy to all living entities, being satisfied from our all in the senses of sense enjoyment, one can very quickly satisfy the supreme personality of God and Janardana. So how could we show mercy to the living entities? So we understand that there are 8,400,000 species. And amongst this number, there are only 400,000 types of humans. And the human form is actually meant to realize the absolute truth. It is only in the human form that the opportunity to understand God, to realize God, to love God, and to go back to Him is available. In the animal species, this opportunity is practically not possible to understand God. Although from in the stories in the scriptures, in the story of Chandrasekhar, I understand here that there was a dog following him, and eventually this dog actually attained perfection. So very rare this thing happens. So this verse is talking about first of all controlling our senses in order for us to be able to give mercy to other living entities. In the Nectar of Instruction, Rupa Goswami actually is telling us that we should become a Goswami. What's a Vega Manasakra that they can Jiva Vegan Parapasa there. So last one. So anyways, some people may argue that this is only for Goswamis that control of the senses is required, but actually is meant for all of us, especially members of ISKCON. Srila Prabhupada, he gave us, what is the purpose of ISKCON, the mission of ISKCON. So there are 7, but essentially, all the purposes of ISKCON actually is geared towards preaching One is to systematically propagate spiritual knowledge to society at large and to educate all peoples in the techniques of spiritual life in order to check the imbalance of values in life and to achieve real unity and peace in the world. Second, to propagate the consciousness of Krishna as it is revealed in the Bhagavad Gita and Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam. So to bring the members of the society together with each other and near to Krishna, the prime entity, and thus to develop the idea within the members and humanity at large that such soul is part and parcel of the quality of God, Krishna. So I'm reading here the mission, the 7 purposes of ISKCON. Number 4 is to teach and encourage the Sankirtan movement of congregational chanting the holy names of God as revealed in the teachings of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Number 5, to erect for the members and for society at large a holy place of transcendental pastimes dedicated to the personality of Krishna. 6, to bring the members closer together for the purpose of teaching a simpler and more natural way of life. With a view towards achieving the aforementioned purposes, to publish and distribute periodicals, magazines, books, and other writings. Although we can see there are 7 purposes of ISKCON, but actually it can be put into one, that the purpose of ISKCON mainly is to preach, to share the knowledge, to share this knowledge to society. So, of course, especially in this verse, it requires that the preachers must control their senses, to become more potent, or effective in their mission of preaching this Krishna consciousness. Again, Srila Prabhupada gave us this slogan: preaching is the essence, books are the basis, utility is the principle, and purity is the force. So that's why devotees are required to the basic requirement, as members of ISKCON, especially those who are initiated devotees, is to follow the 4 regulative principles. No meat eating, no gambling, no intoxication, and no illicit sex. So, and then of course, we chant minimum of 16 rounds of the Hare Krishna mantra every day. So in this way, the purity of devotee, is maintained. Otherwise, when one engages or take part in the preaching mission, without purity, then the preaching would not be so effective. It's got very little effect. So, why would a devotee advance? Because here it's mentioned that mercy should be given to all living entities. So, in Bhagavad Gita, there's a nice verse, in chapter 5, Vidya Vinaya Sampane, that verse, that a learned one who is situated in true knowledge sees everyone with equal vision. So this is the result of one being elevated to a higher platform, that he sees not only in terms of the body, a pure devotee, or advanced devotee, or advanced soul, he sees that in every body there's the soul inside. The body is simply a covering of the soul, which is inside the body. So that's why the devotees mostly, when we chant the holy name, we chant loudly, because especially during kirtan, we chant very loudly, because it's not only benefiting us, human beings who have the ears, to listen, to hear, but also it would benefit all the living entities around. Here we can hear there's some crows crowing. They must be eating the prasad, the leftovers, in a rubbish bin. So not only human beings who come to the temple who get benefited by hearing this holy name, hearing Krishna Katha, taking prasad, but also all the living entities, including the birds we have around the area. So in this way, ISKCON actually is doing the highest welfare work. This is one of the characteristics of devotional service, that it is all auspicious. Auspiciousness means actually when welfare work, the highest welfare work is given, to the world. So what is the highest welfare work? So the highest welfare work is giving Krishna consciousness to others, helping everyone to advance spiritually. There are so many organizations in the world trying to help others, especially people from poor countries. But this help is actually meant for the body. What is the point of giving food to someone who, without giving that person knowledge, actually? Because if we help someone to become healthy, to become healthy, to become more active, but if that help is only giving that person the opportunity to commit more sinful activities, and then so what's the point of that such kind of welfare work? It's not actually benefiting, the person. So the highest benefit is to give someone a Krishna consciousness. Srila Prabhupada, he emphasized preaching, in the purport. So in the last paragraph of his purport, Srila Prabhupada is saying that for a pure devotee, he doesn't even care if he goes to hell, so long as so long as he's preaching sharing Krishna consciousness. Even while I'll read it again. Even while preaching in hell, the pure devotee remains a pure devotee by his constant association with the Supreme Personality of Godhead. To attain this state, one has to control his senses. The senses are automatically controlled when one's mind is engaged in the service of the Lord. So sometimes the temple is described to be like some kind of a base, in a military arrangement. There is a base wherein the soldiers, they do some training, and they eat their food, the exercise. So basically, the headquarters is used to prepare, for the men, the soldiers, to go to battle, to fight. Also in the headquarters, the ammunitions are kept, you know, the weapons are kept in there. So in the same way, ISKCON temples are like described to be a base, wherein devotees can, especially when devotees come to congregate, associating, you know, and the derive inspiration, you know, from each other, and they gain strength, you know, through the association with devotees. And of course, in most temples where devotees stay, you know, our setup in Brisbane is quite different. The devotees, the temple is closed. No one stays in the temple, and we come in the morning, in the evening, and programs. No one stays in the temple. But in some temples, especially just like when I first joined the ISKCON, you know, everyone who is a devotee at that time, if you're not staying in the temple, you're considered to be in Maya. That was the, but it's quite funny. Because during the early days of ISKCON, you know, devotees stay in the temple, join the temple, you know. For young devotees, we shave up, and then we attend all the programs, and in the morning programs especially, and then after prasad, everyone goes out to do book distribution, or do harinam, or whatever sort of preaching was what needs to be done. And then in the evening, everyone comes back and take prasad and attend the arti at 7 o'clock. Then everything finishes, closes at around 9 o'clock, 9:30. Then everyone takes rest. And again, the same thing happens in the next day. So this was the arrangement in the early days, and of course, some other temples, many temples in the world, ISKCON temples, this is the arrangement. So our setup is quite different in Brisbane. So anyways, the point is, the temple is simply a base, you know, a headquarters, wherein the devotees gain the strength, you know, through association, through taking your prasad, and then do the preaching work. And Srila Prabhupada emphasized that devotees must, first of all, control the senses. So this is repeated many, many times in Srila Prabhupada's books, you know, that we must become basically pure. That's the point, you know, purity is the force. This is our strength. I give the example again of the soldiers, you know, the military men, wherein they have to be fit all the time, you know, really for battle. Especially in the olden days when they did not use guns, missiles. Some of the fights are really, you know, face to face, you know, man to man fight, you know. That's so a soldier, you know, must be fit, you know, otherwise just one kick from the enemy, finished, you know. Nowadays the war is fought differently, you know. One can fight the enemy who is 10,000 kilometers away with simply with the press of a button, you know. Pressing buttons, the missiles go and land into the enemy's land, you know. And so it doesn't really matter even one is not fit or not, you know, nowadays, because one simply have to push buttons. But in the olden days, war is fought face to face, so everyone must be fit. So in the same way, devotees are considered to be Lord Chaitanya's, especially ISKCON, you know. It's a preaching movement. Devotees are considered to be the soldiers of Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. Therefore, we must be fit physically, of course. Otherwise, if we're sickly, if you had gone Sankirtan, whole day, and during my time, we used to go house to house, door to door, and you have to walk basically the whole day, for 8 hours, walking and carrying your books, If you are not physically fit, then it would be impossible to walk that long, So not only physically, of course, but mentally, we have to be focused. We have to meditate all the time on Krishna and Srila Prabhupada, meditate always on our Guru, especially his instruction. In this way, we maintain that energy to go on, to finish the day, to last until 5, 6 o'clock and come back to the headquarters of the temple. And then, of course, spiritually, really, we have to be strong. That means follow the 4 regulative principles, chanting 16 rounds. In this way, we are able to control our senses. Because right out there, there's so much attractions that would misguide us, or what do you call this? Especially outside, there's so much. Maya is so expert in trying to get us back, to her side. You can see big billboards. Especially in the city, on Harinam especially, we go Harinam on Friday nights. So Fridays, the downtown, the city is quite busy. People after work, they go to pubs. Actually, I'm surprised that some of these places, people queue, to enter. So some of the places are popular. And, devotees are so merciful that sometimes we even, I remember one of the Harinams I went with, we entered into that pub, inside, and we started chanting there inside. And many of those people inside, they joined the chanting. Some they joined the dancing, So this is the mercy, the mercy of the devotees, the mercy of Chaitanya Mahaprabhu. So this is the result of being inspired, being empowered, that a devotee can enter any place to preach, to share this knowledge to others. So this can only be, again, attained or achieved by a devotee if he is following the instructions of Guru and Krishna. So, okay, I think I'll stop here. So I'll read again the verse before we ask for comments and questions. Again, I'll read the verse. By showing mercy to all living entities, being satisfied somehow or other, and controlling the senses from sense enjoyment, one can very quickly satisfy the Supreme Personality of Godhead, Janardana. So, Hare Krishna. So, anyone would like to share or make a comment or ask some questions? The floor is open. Hare Krishna.
Thank you, Prabhu. Thank you for class. That was really nice, very sweet.
Very good.
And I love that idea that a devotee can go anywhere, any time, place, circumstance, and preach. And just preach to one's ability too, my guru, she's a great believer in people practicing their Krishna consciousness at the level that they're at.
Yeah.
and that it's not a false show. And so the idea is permission is given to one who is sincere to go and preach at their level. So we're all at the level of being able to chant Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama.
Rama, Hare Hare.
That's preaching. That's awesome preaching. That's preaching without having to think about it, because just that transcendental sound vibration, leaving the devotee and entering into the ears of all the surrounding living entities, that's a purificatory process for all involved. For the devotee, preaching at their level so simply, but also for all of those who are very fortunate at that moment to be able to receive the word of the Lord in the name of God directly into their ears. This is such a perfect formula, actually, that Srila Prabhupada gave us. The idea is, don't overthink it. Don't necessarily, unless you are a deep, deep thinker, then please do. Overthink your heart out. But if you're not a very deep thinker, and if you aren't so learned, like myself, very unlearned, then just chanting the holy name of God, Hare Krishna, Hare Krishna, Krishna Krishna, Hare Hare, Hare Rama,
Hare Rama,
Rama,
Hare
Rama
Rama.
Rama, Hare Hare. It's enough. That's actually enough. So thank you very much, Prabhu. That class today really brought home for me this idea that this is the welfare work. You know, I'm a qualified social worker, thinking I was practicing social work for over 20 years. No, this is the social work now. This is what it's all about, and I understand that. Thank you for class, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Devamrita Prabhu would like to say something.
The point which you raised about having a good health and not being engaged in service is actually a waste of energy. It is like leaving the lights and fans on the room in an empty room where there's a room which has got people in it and you don't have no lights and no fans in there. It is as that. So when we are at home, do we leave our lights and air conditioning and fans on when we are not there? And then somebody is not in the room? No, we don't do that. So why do we waste our health and energy on something which is, empty? So yeah, but that's why I think we all need to be mindful that we need to cherish our health as well, so we can serve unlimitedly, to the service of the Lord. So yes, it is also not neglecting the health and the energy, but is to engage and dive into the. I think it's the same message is being hammered again and again. Is that engage or no health yourself, your services, mind, intelligence, and everything with Krishna. That's just a simple, principle of Krishna consciousness. Engage everything, wherever you can, however you can.
Thank you for that. Anyone in Zoom would like to share or make a comment or ask questions?
Hare Krishna, Prabhuji. Can you hear me?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Hare Krishna, Prabhu.
Yes, yes.
Yeah. Can you hear me, Prabhu?
Yes.
Yes, we can hear you, Madhu.
Yeah, I was just reminded in Chaitanya Charitamrita, Madhya Leela, chapter 15. We know Vasudev Datta, and he actually is so compassionate that he asked the Lord to transfer the sinful activities of every living entity in the universe onto his head. And the Lord was Lord Chaitanya Mahaprabhu was so moved by his request, and his heart became soft, and he began to tremble with emotion. And he assured Vasudeva Datta that because of his desire, all living entities would be liberated, even without his personal suffering. So that doesn't mean that a devotee has to suffer if devotee is praying for all the living entities, because the Lord gives us all the protection. Even wherever we go, the Lord gives us protection. So we are not suffering because Lord's protection is there. So this is the compassion of a pure devotee of the Lord, and Lord takes care of that. Similarly, Narad Muni, he goes everywhere. Whether he goes to heaven or hell, he is preaching there. So a pure Vaishnava, we all have to be compassionate and pray for all the living entities. Thank you very much, Prabhuji. Hare
Thank
Krishna.
you. Any more in Zoom? You please share your realizations. Okay, so I think that's it. We'll finish now. So, Jai Śrīmad-Bhāgavatam ki, Jai Prabhupada ki,
Jai.
Gaura
Jai.
Prasad.
Hari Hari Bol.
Thank you, Hare Krishna. Jai.
Hare Krishna.
Nice
Thanks for the darshan.
darshan. Yeah, beautiful.
Beautiful.
Yeah. How many in Zoom?